Welcome to Creepy, the best horror storyteller on YouTube.
Part 1 Introduction.
The air hung heavy with dust, as if time itself had settled in the forgotten attic. Cobwebs clung to forgotten relics of years gone by, shrouding memories in a gossamer veil. Among the forgotten remnants, a filmmaker named Daniel stood, a sense of frustration etched across his face. For months, Daniel had wrestled with his latest project, a film that refused to take shape, its elusive essence slipping through his fingers like smoke. It was in this state of creative turmoil that he stumbled upon the attic, a space he had never dared explore in the old Victorian house he had inherited. As his eyes scanned the dimly lit room, they fell upon a nondescript box tucked away in a shadowy corner. Intrigued, he reached out, brushing away the layers of dust that clung to its surface. Inside, he discovered a film reel, unmarked and devoid of any clues to its origin. The weight of the reel felt cool and unfamiliar in his hands. A mixture of trepidation and curiosity danced in his chest. Without a second thought, Daniel resolved to uncover the secrets held within, to find inspiration in the forgotten frames that lay dormant for who knew how long. With gentle care, he descended from the attic, the film reel cradled in his arms. As he set up his old projector, the anticipation in the room was palpable. The whir of the machine filled the silence, a prelude to the enigma that was about to unfold before him. The room darkened as the first frames flickered to life on the screen. Daniel's breath caught in his throat, for what he saw defied all reason. The scenes that played out before him were achingly familiar, a chilling recreation of moments from his own life. He watched in stunned disbelief, each frame unraveling a fragment of his existence like a sinister premonition. As the last frame faded to black, Daniel's pulse quickened, and a cold sweat broke out on his brow. The attic seemed to close in around him, shadows morphing into specters, whispering of a future that now seemed inescapable. The film reel, once a forgotten relic, had become a harbinger of doom, casting a long, foreboding shadow over Daniel's life.
Part 2 Screening the film reel.
In the days that followed, Daniel's obsession with the enigmatic film reel consumed him. The attic became his sanctuary, a refuge from the disconcerting reality that now plagued his every waking moment. The images etched into his memory from that fateful screening replayed like a haunting melody, each note a foreboding reminder of what was to come. With trembling hands, he would carefully thread the reel onto the projector, his heart pounding in anticipation. Each time the whir of the machine filled the room, it was as if he were beckoning the unknown, inviting it to reveal its secrets once more. The scenes unfolded with an eerie precision, a sinister ballet of inevitability. He watched, helpless, as the film foretold moments from his future, casting a pall of dread over even the simplest of joys. A fleeting smile with a stranger, a passing conversation with a neighbor, all were tainted by the knowledge of what was to follow. Desperation clawed at Daniel's chest. He reached out to experts, seeking solace in their rational explanations, only to be met with puzzled glances and furrowed brows. The film reel, they insisted, was nothing more than a relic of a bygone era, devoid of any supernatural power. But Daniel knew better. He could feel the weight of the reel, its chilling touch seeping into his bones. It was a cruel mirror, reflecting back the inevitable path he was now destined to walk. Sleep became elusive, replaced by fitful nights haunted by visions of the reel's relentless prophecy. Each frame was etched into his mind, a relentless reminder of the grim fate that awaited him. The world outside seemed to blur into a surreal tableau, the boundaries between reality and nightmare growing ever thinner. Yet, despite the creeping sense of dread that coiled around him, Daniel couldn't tear himself away. The reel held him in its thrall, a malevolent force that refused to release its grip. It was as if the attic itself whispered, urging him to unravel the mysteries that bound them together. And so, in the shadows of that forgotten attic, Daniel continued to screen the haunted film reel, the lines between past, present, and future blurring into a chilling tapestry of inevitability. With each viewing, the darkness seemed to deepen, casting a long, suffocating shadow over his soul. The reel had become an unrelenting specter, a harbinger of doom that refused to be ignored.
Part 3. The chilling premonitions.
As the days wore on, Daniel's once steadfast resolve began to fray. The weight of the real's predictions bore down on him, a constant reminder of the inexorable march towards his own grim destiny. He could no longer distinguish between the scenes he had lived and those he had yet to face. Every interaction, every step he took, was imbued with an otherworldly significance. The once familiar streets now felt like a labyrinth of impending doom, their corners hiding unseen terrors. The people around him, oblivious to the sinister ballet playing out in his mind, went about their lives, their laughter and chatter a cruel counterpoint to his own internal torment. Sleep was a distant memory, replaced by the relentless specter of insomnia. When exhaustion finally claimed him, it brought with it fitful nightmares, each one a twisted echo of the real's cruel revelations. The line between wakefulness and slumber blurred, leaving Daniel in a perpetual state of disorientation. He sought refuge in isolation, retreating further into the attic's suffocating embrace. The rest of the world seemed distant and inconsequential, a mere backdrop to the nightmarish tableau playing out in his mind. The real, once a source of curiosity, had transformed into a malevolent force, its whispers of the future echoing in his ears. In a desperate bid for solace, Daniel revisited the scenes of the real, hoping to find some hidden clue, some glimmer of salvation. But with each viewing, the premonitions only grew darker, the inevitability of his impending doom etched ever more deeply into the frames. He considered destroying the real, watching the flames consume its cursed surface, but a paralyzing fear gripped him. What if by doing so, he sealed his own fate? The attic itself seemed to conspire against him, its walls closing in, suffocating him with a palpable sense of malevolence. He sought solace in the forgotten relics of the attic, hoping to unearth some connection, some thread that could unravel the mystery. But the artifacts remained stubbornly silent, their secrets locked away in the shadows of time. As the days stretched into weeks, Daniel's once vibrant spirit withered, replaced by a hollow shell haunted by the real's unyielding prophecy. His eyes, once bright with creativity, now held a haunted glint, reflecting the inexorable march towards his own demise. And still, he could not tear himself away. The real had become an unbreakable tether, binding him to a future he could not escape. The attic, once a sanctuary of forgotten treasures, had transformed into a suffocating tomb, its walls closing in around him, a silent witness to his descent into madness.
Part 4. Desperate search for answers.
The passage of time became a blur, marked only by the relentless ticking of the clock in the attic. Daniel's once ordered life had unraveled, replaced by a fevered obsession to break free from the suffocating grip of the haunted film reel. He delved into research, scouring archives and libraries for any trace of similar occurrences. Experts, skeptics, and occultists alike were consulted, their faces etched with a mixture of pity and disbelief. But no answers were forthcoming, only hollow reassurances that it was all a product of his overactive imagination. Desperation drove him to seek out those who had walked the same shadowed path. Internet forums and obscure books became his guides, leading him deeper into a world of arcane knowledge. The more he learned, the more apparent it became that the real was no mere relic, but a malevolent force with an agenda of its own. He became consumed by a singular purpose, to uncover the origins of the real and the sinister force that held him captive. Late nights were spent hunched over dusty tomes, the pale light of the attic casting long, spectral shadows on the pages before him. In his pursuit of answers, Daniel discovered tales of cursed objects, of ancient rituals and forgotten incantations. Each revelation seemed to draw him closer to the heart of the enigma, yet the truth remained elusive, slipping through his fingers like smoke. As the weeks stretched into months, the line between reality and obsession blurred. The attic, once a sanctuary, had become a battleground, the air thick with the weight of unseen forces. Shadows danced at the edges of his vision, whispering secrets that remained just beyond his grasp. Friends and family, alarmed by Daniel's transformation, reached out in vain attempts to pull him back from the precipice. But he was a man possessed, his every waking moment consumed by the relentless pursuit of knowledge. The real, once a harbinger of doom, had become a conduit to a world beyond the veil of understanding. Its frames held secrets that taunted him, tantalizingly close yet maddeningly out of reach. And still, he could not tear himself away, for to do so would be to surrender to the inexorable pull of fate. In his quest for salvation, Daniel unearthed forgotten rituals, desperate incantations, and whispered invocations. The attic echoed with his fevered pleas, the boundaries between the living and the spectral world growing ever thinner. And then, in the depths of a sleepless night, a revelation pierced the darkness. A name, whispered by unseen lips, echoed in his mind, the Coven of Shadows. It was a thread, tenuous yet promising, leading him down a path that promised answers, but also threatened to plunge him further into the abyss.
Part 5: Escalation of Horror.
Armed with the newfound knowledge of the Coven of Shadows, Daniel's pursuit of answers took a darker turn. He delved deeper into arcane texts, piecing together fragments of a ritual that promised to sever the malevolent connection to the haunted film reel. The attic became a chamber of incantations, the air heavy with the scent of aged parchment and the lingering echoes of whispered invocations. Symbols were etched into the floor, candles flickered in the half-light, and the air seemed to thrum with a palpable energy. As the ritual unfolded, Daniel's heart pounded in his chest, the weight of his desperation pressing in from all sides. He chanted the incantations, the words slipping from his lips like a prayer to unknown forces. Shadows danced on the periphery of his vision, the air charged with an electric intensity. In the midst of the ritual, a sudden chill swept through the attic, extinguishing the candles and plunging the room into darkness. Panic clawed at Daniel's chest, but he pressed on, his voice unwavering. He could feel a presence, cold and malevolent, circling around him, its unseen gaze bearing down on him. With a final, desperate incantation, the ritual reached its crescendo. The air seemed to crackle with energy, and for a brief, heart-stopping moment, it felt as if the very fabric of reality trembled. And then, with a sudden, jarring silence, it was over. The attic fell still, the oppressive energy dissipating like smoke. For a moment, hope flickered in Daniel's chest. Had he succeeded? Had he broken free from the real's sinister grasp? But as the minutes stretched into hours, it became painfully clear that the ritual had been in vain. The real, untouched by his efforts, lay dormant and unyielding. The specter of his impending doom hung heavy in the air, a cruel reminder that he remained ensnared in the clutches of fate. In the days that followed, the real's predictions escalated in their intensity. The scenes grew darker, the inevitability of their realization closing in around him. Every attempt to defy the real's cruel premonitions only seemed to hasten their arrival, as if fate itself conspired to ensure his ultimate demise. The world outside had become a nightmarish tableau, a distorted reflection of the life he once knew. Faces twisted into grotesque masks, laughter turned hollow and mocking. Daniel's every step was haunted by the knowledge that his time was running out. Desperation gave way to a grim determination. With a heart heavy with resignation, he returned to the attic, determined to confront the malevolent force that held him captive. The real, once a relic of forgotten horrors, had become a malignant specter, its frames a relentless countdown to his doom. As the attic's shadows closed in around him, Daniel steeled himself for the final confrontation. He could feel the unseen gaze of the force that bound him, its presence a suffocating weight on his chest. With a final, resolute breath, he whispered a challenge to the darkness, ready to face whatever awaited him in the heart of the real's sinister prophecy.
Part 6: Confrontation with the Sinister Force.
In the dim confines of the attic, Daniel stood resolute, his eyes fixed on the haunted film reel that held him captive. The air hung heavy with tension, the silence broken only by the echo of his own breath. It was a moment of reckoning, a final stand against the malevolent force that had woven itself into the very fabric of his existence. With a trembling hand, he reached out to the reel, fingers brushing against its cool surface. It seemed to pulse with a dark energy, a heartbeat that echoed in time with his own. The weight of the moment settled on his shoulders, a palpable reminder of the stakes at hand. As he threaded the reel onto the projector one last time, a sense of grim determination settled over him. The whir of the machine filled the room, drowning out the pounding of his heart. The first frames flickered to life, each one a sinister tableau of his own life, frozen in time. But this time, as the scenes played out before him, a new clarity washed over Daniel. He saw the patterns, the threads that wove through his life and connected him to the real. It was a revelation, a glimmer of understanding in the midst of the encroaching darkness. With newfound resolve, Daniel watched the reel to its chilling conclusion. The final frame hung in the air, a frozen tableau of his own fate. And then, with a sudden, jarring finality, the screen went black. The attic fell into a heavy silence, the weight of the moment pressing down on him. It was over. The reel, once a malevolent specter, now lay dormant and powerless. Daniel's breath came in ragged gasps, a mixture of relief and disbelief coursing through him. As he descended from the attic, a sense of catharsis washed over him. The shadows seemed to recede, the oppressive weight lifting from his chest. The world outside had not changed, but Daniel felt a newfound sense of clarity, a glimmer of hope amidst the lingering uncertainty. In the days that followed, he returned to his filmmaking with a renewed vigor. The specter of the haunted film reel no longer hung over him, its power broken by his unyielding resolve. The darkness that had once threatened to consume him now served as a reminder of his own resilience. And yet, in the quiet moments of reflection, Daniel knew that he would carry the memory of the reel with him always. It was a part of him now, a testament to the depths of human perseverance in the face of unspeakable horrors. The attic remained a silent witness to the battle that had unfolded within its walls. The dust settled, the cobwebs hung undisturbed, and the forgotten relics of years gone by stood sentinel to the unfathomable tale that had played out within its confines. As time passed, the attic would fade into obscurity once more, its secrets locked away in the shadows. But for Daniel, the memory of that fateful encounter would forever linger, a testament to the indomitable spirit that had faced down the darkest of horrors and emerged, forever changed.
Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe for more similar horror stories.